With 2025 coming to an end, I'm going to look at 6 superstars today from WWE and AEW who are my MVPs of 2025. I'll give a quick rundown of what they did this year and why I believe they are valuable in 2025 professional wrestling. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below, leave a like, comment as well. Let's get into the video. First superstar we're going to look at today is Jon Moxley. What a year Mr. Moxley has had. He has just recently won the C2 for AEW, becoming the new AEW Continental Champion, defeating Okada in a pretty banger match from what I've heard and the little I've seen. I was on a flight, so unfortunately I didn't see it live. I still have to check in at the time of this video, but he had that, and through most of this year he was the AEW World Champion, leading the Death Riders, with the heel faction, and he held the championship hostage inside of the briefcase. And a lot of fans were not too happy about that. There were a lot of fans who wanted to see him lose to guys like Swerve, guys like Samoa Joe, see him lose to guys like Will Ospreay, and it was like, listen, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm one of the few people who really enjoyed the heel run of Moxley, because in professional wrestling, you need really good heel work. You need heels that you despise in order to make the baby faces look really good. And that baby face that looked good is Hangman Page, who we'll get to in a minute. But Jon Moxley, he dropped the title to Hangman Page after having defenses against guys like Copeland, guys like Christian Cage, guys like Powerhouse Hobbs. He had the little FTR versus the Death Rider storyline they had going for a little bit. We have the Ops part of this storyline. Kenny Omega was part of this storyline because they had a crazy Anarchy in the Arena match. The Young Bucks were involved with Jon Moxley, and the Death Riders and them were doing some really good work. And Jon Moxley, being at the helm of the Death Riders, was the leader in all this. And I thought his promo work throughout this entirety of the run was always really, really solid. Even though fans weren't necessarily happy because he wasn't giving you bangers per se, I thought his matches were still pretty good, and with the right guys, he was putting on some really good matches. The Swerve match I remember was being really good. The Hangman match is an all-time classic. If you haven't watched it, you definitely should. But then we have him lose the title to Hangman Page, right? And you expect him to go off for a couple months, be like, all right, we're not gonna see Moxley anymore. Nope. Jon Moxley said, F that shit, I'm coming right back to TV. This ain't gonna work for me, brother. 4 days later, he's in a tag match. It was the Death Riders versus Hangman, Mark Briscoe, and Powerhouse Hobbs. How things have really changed from there, by the way, in AEW. But then he fought him, Hangman again, he lost, and then he faced guys like Mike Bailey, Kevin Knight. He fought him again in the tag match. They had the lights out steel cage match, which was Darby Allin at the helm of it, because Darby Allin and Jon Moxley was another major story they had play out on AEW television this year, which Moxley actually tapped out. He tapped out to Darby Allin, if I'm not mistaken, on pay-per-view, which was actually fucking insane. I can't believe they actually had him quit. But we also had the coffin match, which I thought was fairly decent. People didn't love the run-ins, but that's neither here nor there. Jon Moxley was also wrestling like almost every single week on AEW. He had matches with Roderick Strong. I'm looking here. We had more matches with the Ops. He had Tomohiro Ishii. If I said that wrong, I probably did. I apologize. He faced Kyle O'Reilly. Put Kyle O'Reilly over as fuck at AEW Full Gear, by the way. He was at some Defy Wrath wrestling show. Moxley was fucking everywhere, bro. He faced Roderick Strong again. They had Blood and Guts, which Moxley was a part of again. We also had him fight in the No Holds Barred. That's the Full Gear match that I'm referring to, where he tapped out to Kyle O'Reilly. Then in the C2, man, holy shit, he was going off. He had a great match with Dorada. Him and Claudio put on a damn good match. His match with Takeshita was, was awesome. I always think of him as Takeshita, so I apologize. But we also have his matches with Roderick Strong, Orange Cassidy, and Kyle Fletcher at the pay-per-view. Oh my God, that shit looked good. 23 minutes. I need to see those 2 matches. I haven't been able to just because of the time of this video, and we're getting the video out tonight. So, by the way, his also match with Okada, as I referenced first, was phenomenal. We just have so much that he was a part of. I really enjoyed his stories. I think with Moxley, it's just he's the consistent guy who's constantly on TV, constantly delivering to the product, and constantly a part of the biggest storylines possible, giving the best he possibly could, try to make everyone look as great as he can. He's put so many guys over this year. Roderick Strong, Kyle Fletcher, he made look damn good. Even with the loss, he still looked pretty good. He put over guys like Kyle O'Reilly, Darby Allin, Hangman Page. This guy put over talent like no other, and he still got himself over at the end of the year, becoming your new Continental Champion. So Jon Moxley is one of my 6 MVPs for 2025. The next superstar we're going to look at is also from AEW. She is timeless. She is Toni Storm. Timeless. Toni Storm has done a lot in 2025. Her big storyline with Mariah May, aka Blake Monroe, happened in 2025, where they had the big Hollywood ending, which was one of the craziest matches I've genuinely seen in my entire life. Shout out to those 2 women, because I actually watched that recently, and holy shit, it holds up even 6 months, 9 months later, and it's a banger, by the way. One of the best stories AEW has really delivered on in the past couple of years. They also had their match at Grand Slam, which was pretty solid. She defeated talents like Alex Windsor, Billy Starks, Queen Amanita early on in the year. We had the storyline with Megan Bayne, which actually made me become a fan of Megan Bayne. Their poster is literally right there in my room as we're speaking about it. We had those good matches. She faced Mayu Yamashita. She also faced Queen Amanita again in a world title eliminator match. Lady Frost, Anna Jay, Penelope Ford, and Thunder Rosa faced talents like Sky Blue, Mina Shirakawa. That match was awesome at Double or Nothing. I definitely remember that match. She also got herself part of the tag division as well, because she eventually did drop the title to Chris Statlander in a multi-woman match, but she also had the match with Mercedes Moné at All In, if we're not remembering. And that was a really good match. Even though my power was cutting out half the time, and I kind of missed a little bit of the match, it was still a banger match. Other matches, Julia Hart, Alex Windsor, again, she was doing tag matches with. She faced Athena at some point. That was a really cool story. I remember they were running Chicago, I believe, for AEW television for a few weeks, and those story they were telling. I remember Toni Storm being at the top of this little stature or whatever they had, and she was going to promo to Athena in the ring. That work was really good. I'll try to cut a picture to it in the video. But again, she dropped the title. Chris Statlander had a banger with her at the pay-per-view Wrestle Dream. And then her and Mina having the timeless love bombs on AEW, fighting in that tag division. They ended up losing in the finals to the Babes of Wrath, Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale. So they're not the tag champions yet. They'll eventually win them, in my opinion. I just feel like it's one of those teams that you kind of got to give it to at some point just to have it on them for a bit. But she also had a match at the pay-per-view World's End. It was Roderick Strong, the Conglomeration, and Toni Storm versus the Death Riders, which I barely know how this happened. I know Toni Storm came out. I was on vacation for the build to this last week, but W match, I saw the moments. They look really damn good. And honestly, for Toni Storm, her storytelling this year, and I know I've just ran through a bunch of the matches, but I liked her storytelling this year with the timeless gimmick, because it's one of those gimmicks that honestly could fall flat after a while. I feel like some talents wouldn't know what to do with it. At a certain point, they would just run it into the ground and that'd be all it is. But with Toni Storm, I feel like she really adds layers, adds development to this storyline every single time she does it. You know, with the timeless love bombs, it's a new fun twist. You know, they've had the Mina story going for quite a while, but making it a full-on fledged tag team and being damn good at it, you gotta give props to them. The Mariah May story was phenomenal. Her stuff with Mercedes Moné, her stuff with Chris Statlander, having to change your personality but keep the same stuff and the same traits with everybody is something that's so difficult to do, and not many people can do it. And timeless Toni Storm made herself that damn good this year, and she was already one of the best talents, if not the best women's wrestler in the world. And this year, she just proved, like, damn, I'm Toni Storm, and ain't nobody taking this crown from me. And some people might say Io Sky, some people might say other talents. You know, New Japan, you have wrestlers as well. You can still say other talents in WWE, but Toni Storm, quite possibly the best women's wrestler in the world. She is one of my MVPs for 2025. Next wrestler we go to is from WWE. He is the Never Seen 17. He is now retired, but we do have to give MVP shout outs to John Cena, man. Holy shit, the year he's had. I've talked about it plenty on the channel, and I'm not going to bore you all day, but you know, the big matches he had, you know, we had the Mania and SummerSlam match with Cody Rhodes. We had the match with CM Punk. I really think the build with Cody could have been a little bit better, but I believe that if he did too much good promo work, it would have made Cody look weird, and the crowd would have really been against Cody Rhodes, making the heel turn not work. So I felt at times that Cena was kind of holding back per se on the mic. I felt in the later builds he didn't have to do that because they weren't necessarily chasing the Cody Rhodes super babyface. It was just John Cena, Cody Rhodes. I wish we had a little bit more time to build to that for SummerSlam, where we could have gotten some elite promo work, but I thought that promo work was really good. The stuff with Punk, top class. That was the best shit I've seen this year from either man on the mic. I thought they were really cooking it, really delivering it, and honestly just sending us home happy with a banger match they had at Night of Champions, by the way. I wish it was at Money in the Bank, and I wish both are baby faces because it would have been awesome, but the match we got was still phenomenal. We all know we had the match with AJ Styles at Crown Jewel. Holy shit, that match was awesome, bro. Oh my, I remember I was watching it with Van Vliet and the Wrestling Fanatic, and just the stuff they were doing, out of this fucking world, bro. Like, genuinely, I don't know if a match has made me feel the way that match made me feel ever in my entire life. Now, John Cena Gunther made me feel other things for other reasons, and it was very sad to see my goat tap out, but if that's how we had to go, That's how he had to go. His stuff with Randy Orton, I really enjoyed the different dynamic in their feud because Randy being the babyface, John Cena being the heel, something we never really seen before, and being able to get that with that storyline, I really enjoyed it. I wish we did get some work with guys like Seth Rollins, maybe a show off at Roman Reigns, you know. I will say the Brock Lesnar shit was ass, but it's not John Cena's fault. I'm not going to blame John Cena. What he did, what he was in control of, I thought was awesome. I thought the retirement run was as good as he could have made it. I think that with the cards he was dealt, he made damn good work of it. He had a banger at Logan Paul. There's other matches of getting the Dom Mysterio stuff and the entire Judgment Day, getting them all over. R-Truth. So much happened this year because of John Cena, and I feel like he is one of the reasons WWE had as I don't want to say great of a year because I feel like there's a lot of things that WWE could have done better, but he was a big part of keeping WWE up here for a lot of fans. There's still a lot of fans who are disappointed by it, and I'm still disappointed for a couple of different things. I feel like WWE didn't capitalize on this year. I feel like it was a little weaker compared to last year, but John Cena was a big part of keeping WWE watchable and not having any less dull moments this year. I really am happy to say he is one of my MVPs for his last year ever wrestling. Shout out to the never seen 17 John Cena. Another talent we have to shout out is the one and the only Io Sky, and her year has been pretty damn good. Now, the matches have not been as many as someone like John Cena. I feel like he had a lot more prominent storylines, but her stuff with Rhea and Bianca at WrestleMania, one of the greatest WrestleMania matches ever, especially, you know, women's matches, one of the greatest ever, but matches alone, one of the greatest matches ever, because those three women were fucking cooking, bro. Opening WrestleMania, that's one of the most stressful spots to be in. You gotta really deliver, and those women did that. The story of her beating Rhea Ripley on a random fucking Raw on the road to Mania was perfect. I was hoping for it back then, and I can't believe it actually happened. And then her match with Rhea Ripley and technically Naomi at Evolution, the fucking chef's kiss. Genuinely, probably the greatest women's match I've seen in my entire life. I don't think you can name a better women's match ever than that. Literally ever. I'm not even exaggerating. I would put that against any match, any era, any company ever. The greatest women's match ever. And Naomi Cashin just made it that much better because her and Rhea were going at it for like 30 fucking minutes, bro. Like, holy shit, they were fucking cooking, bro. And the stories between Rio, I thought were pretty good. She was also part of the SummerSlam match with Naomi, which I thought was a really very well executed match for the vacant WWE Women's World Heavyweight Championship against Stephanie Vacquer. And that was a banger match as well. She didn't end up winning that match, but I don't think she really needed to win that. Stephanie getting the title was a cool decision. We also had Rio tag team action against the Kabuki Warriors at Crown Jewel. That was some pretty good stuff, which eventually led into the War Games match between the two mega teams. We had Nia Jax, Becky Lynch, Asuka, just name a few on that team versus a team AJ Lee, Rio. Becky Lynch was also part of the match. We had so many, it's on the screen, but that was a really cool match regardless of the build being a little lackluster. And I kind of wish we had a little more weapons in the match, but I can't get mad at what they can't control. But Io Sky, bro, we gotta give her a big shout out to Io Sky because she has done some phenomenal stuff this year. She is one of my MVPs of 2025 because I believe her anytime she was on TV, it was must see. The matches, even her promo work was really solid this year, but definitely the matches and definitely the stories for Io Sky. Next superstar we have is again from AEW. We alluded to him before. He is Hangman Adam Page, baby. And Adam Page has had quite a 2025. You know, the beginning of the year, I remember his match with MJF at Revolution, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it was in March, and that was a really cool match because it was finally seeing Hangman get over the hump of the Swerve Strickland story, him being this maniacal heel, like, oh my god, Hangman Page, he's gonna do some bad shit, and we finally flipped the corner and got him to a babyface role, and it was not necessarily clean cut either because we still had a couple more months to go. He was part of the men's Owen Hart tournament where he defeated Josh Alexander, Kyle Fletcher on his road to the finals, where he defeated Will Ospreay, and that is one of the best men's matches or just matches period of the year. I actually went back to watch that the other day, and that's one of my most enjoyable matches of the year. So if I make a video on that, my favorite matches 2025, this one will 100% make the list. But then we had, the feuding with Don Callis family briefly with Will Ospreay. We also had a story with the Death Riders and the Bucks taking on Hangman Page and the Ops, which the Ops and Hangman feuded later on in the year, which is still really fucking funny. But Hangman defeated Moxley for the title at All In, one of the greatest, coolest stories ever, leading to it. Hangman being the big babyface, saving AEW essentially, which I think He was the perfect guy for the role. I would not have booked it anywhere different. I think Will Ospreay was someone you maybe could have done, but Hangman was the perfect choice here. He then continued to feud with the Death Riders for a little bit until he clean cut defeated Moxley and finally was able to move on from that. He defeated MJF at Forbidden Door in a banger, I will say. That was a pretty good match. It ended up being over 31 minutes. I think MJF technically won the title for like a second, then they reversed the decision or whatnot. I don't remember. I remember the story where MJF made Hangman sign the contract without MJF having used his, which comes into play later at the end of the year. And then Hangman retained. You know, we get past that. We have matches with Josh Alexander. We have more matches with the Don Callis family. He had world title matches versus Kyle Fletcher and Lee Moriarty on All Out and AEW Dynamite. Just name a couple more matches. And then we had the Big Ops turn, where Hangman faced Samoa Joe at Wrestle Dream. He defeated Samoa Joe. Clean, cool, all right, we move on. But no, we don't move on. Samoa Joe turned heel. And then we ended up having Trios title match. The Ops defeated Hangman, Eddie Kingston, and Hulk, which somehow all these matches lead into the next, which is really actually insane. It's not because it's just Hangman, it's all these other guys too. Because when Hangman defeated Hobbs in the Falls Count Anywhere match, cool, he defeats Shibata. All right, is he going to defeat Samoa Joe? We're going to move on to the next thing. Hangman Page, world title reign, let's move it. Nope. He lost to Samoa Joe, but I believe it was a well-executed loss because it still keeps the allure and the desire to see Hangman Page as AEW champion, so you can go back to it if you want to. At the moment, you won't, though, because who just won the AEW championship? MJF, because he's better than you, and you fucking know it. But this isn't about MJF, this is about Hangman Page. He was part of so many different storylines this year, you know, reclaiming the AEW championship. His whole story from last year where he was the top guy. He was AEW champion, then he lost to Punk, and then he started to go downhill a little bit, was Trio champions with the Young Bucks, and then he went down even more. Got to the worst with Swerve, and then he's been on the ascent since. Now, I wouldn't say he's on a decline yet. I feel like we're still in that, you know, honeymoon phase for Hangman Page or this arc of his story. I want to see what we go to next. Will he take his title back from MJF? We will have to see in 2026, but Hangman Page is one of my MVPs for 2025. If you've enjoyed this video so far, let me know down below in the comments if you want to see me make more videos like this. I've actually enjoyed making this video. And for the last guy I'll be talking about in this video, it is the one, the only, the best in the world. As his moniker says, it is CM Punk. Now, that doesn't mean that CM Punk is necessarily the MVP of 2025 for all of professional wrestling. He's just the last guy. I'm talking about all 6 of these talents. I believe all have valid arguments to be MVP of 2025. CM Punk. So his 2025 started out with a bang, facing Seth Rollins and defeating Seth Rollins in a pretty good match on the first ever Raw on Netflix. And then we had a couple of weeks, you know, we were just building to the Royal Rumble. We get to the Royal Rumble. He eliminates Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. And that leads us into our next couple of stories for CM Punk, because at Elimination Chamber, the next major WWE PLE, it was determined the #1 contender for Cody Rhodes Championship, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul, and John Cena. Seth Rollins would then cost CM Punk his Elimination Chamber match against John Cena, which was part of the heel turn, but both had different storylines going on for each other, weren't necessarily connected. Then lead us to the steel cage match between CM Punk and Seth Rollins at MSG Monday Night Raw, which Roman Reigns would then interfere in that match, causing the triple threat at WrestleMania, which was one of the greatest WrestleMania main events ever. Those 3 men absolutely delivered, putting on some phenomenal work. Shout out to those 3 guys there. After that, CM Punk had a storyline with the Vision continuing, because they, you know, built on the fact of CM Punk being turned on by Paul Heyman. It was Sammy and Punk versus Braun and Seth. Bronson Reed also joins the group. And then we had John Cena, CM Punk at Night of Champions, which I talked about before with Cena. Great match, great story, great programs. We have Basic Thugonomics, we have the Pipe Bomb 2.0, all that great work. CM Punk ends up losing, which then continues the Seth Rollins work, which they were actually doing some really good stuff. And then at SummerSlam, we get Gunther versus CM Punk, which helped make CM Punk a new WWE World Champion. I was in attendance for it. I was also in attendance for when he got cashed in on by Seth Rollins, which, again, both are great moments. Both were awesome to be a part of attendance for. They then continue that match into Clash in Paris. It was Jay, it was Punk, it was LA, and it was Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins ends up winning because we then get CM Punk and AJ Lee taking on Becky Lynch, who cost CM Punk that Fail Royal match, and Seth Rollins. And oh my God, that was awesome. Getting AJ Lee back in professional wrestling, and she's still back. She ain't gone anywhere. But having all those 4 in a ring at the same time was cinema type shit. This then leads us to CM Punk becoming world champion again because Seth Rollins got hurt at Crown Jewel and we couldn't do Rollins and Seth, which we were originally going to do because CM Punk got #1 contendership, but then Rollins goes out. But he faced Jey Uso, who was new #1 contender, to face #1 contender. Regardless, CM Punk's new World Heavyweight Champion. They did this stuff at Survivor Series War Games, you know, the super all-star teams. And now, exiting the year, we are just upon CM Punk Braun Breaker hanging in 2026. And that story's been pretty good as well. But CM Punk has been a pivotal part of TV this entire year. I really enjoy the stuff I've seen from Punk, and I really hope 2026 is just as good of a year, if not better, for the best in the world. But that is the video. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my choices down below in the comments. I'll try to respond to every single one. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure if you liked it, comment down below, like as well. Subscribe to the channel to get more videos. Turn on post notifications for every single time we upload. I'm Aiden, and I'm out. Bang.